Tell me that no wonder my parents left me there.
You got used to it in the end?
Growing up in Boystown, it was tough.
All put down and just put into another environment, and it just continued.
I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm saying my record would show that I'd respond very, very quickly to anything like that.
It's just that if you got it wrong, you got bashed. And then because you got bashed, you didn't want to stick around, so you'd run away. Then they'd bring you back and they'd bash you again.
Not only did he knock my tooth out, he split the back of my head open, which was at least an inch long. There was blood all over the place. I collapsed. And that's when they ended up dragging me in the shower, which was Cottage 2 mother. None of the De La Salle brothers ended up coming down to help me.
And you dare not even pipe up and say anything because, you know, as some boys found out the hard way, if they did speak up, the result of that was just another bashing.
So you learn what you didn't have to do to get bashed.
I've seen and witnessed many of boys quite regularly being bashed.
After 3 years, you got used to it.
Nobody saw what went on behind closed doors, of kids getting punched out by grown men and stuff like that, you know.
I told my social worker, who then in turn told him. He came at me with a belt and just kept flogging and flogging me, and I ended up underneath the sink. He dragged me out, he kicked me, he punched me and continued to flog me with that strap, and the last thing that I remember him saying was, "I fucking warned you."
A prison camp, basically. Anything that was brought to my attention, I responded to.
I noticed that there was no shower door, so I asked a question to a couple of other boys that were showing me around. I said, where's the shower doors? The response I got back was, "What doors?"
Yeah, I remember my first time I turned up to Boystown was in Cottage 1. When it came time for a shower, everybody stood there and watched. Brothers, all the other boys. There was no privacy, no respect. You grew up real quick.
You have to remember that a lot of us boys were 12 years of age when we went in there, and a lot of boys hadn't even hit puberty at that stage there. That was a humiliating thing.
When I went to Boystown, I had noticed there was no showers or the doors on the showers. I ended up going to Cottage 7, and where one door you open up, you walk inside, and the cottage parent's daughter could actually see you, which I felt disgusted and degraded. Because
there's no shower doors, you've got no privacy. There was a brother that came down with a cow prodder. It's basically a long tool that they puts a electric current through it and they use it to move on the cattle. He tried to zap me into the shower there one night with it. He tried to get the next boy, but unfortunately the boy in the end shower was zapped. And I'll tell you what, that was a pretty nasty thing for them to do, but they're the type of things that they did.
Yeah, they didn't have shower doors in there because they wanted to monitor us or something like that. It was quite intrusive.
Matter of protection.
Yeah, the thought of being strip searched at 12 years of age, wow. They left a scar I'll never ever forget.
It was a regular thing.
I remember coming back from weekend leave, we were made to take off all our clothes, being strip searched, got told to bend down, squat, lift arms up.
How can you explain what it's to feel like to stand there in front of a room with everybody staring at you, telling you to to lift this part, bend over this way, do this and that. And you're 12 years of age as a young boy, that's not human.
Because there's been complaints about us or anything else, they've strip searched us.
Be taken into a room and made a strip search in front of the director of Boystown, other De La Salle brothers, other boys. That was quite humiliating.
People bring that to attention, then we must do something about it. It never happened to me, but I knew it was happening to others.
So he's a fucking dirty mongrel bastard. Like he tried to fucking, every fucking night he'd come into where I was and try and rape me. And I tried to tell him all this, and then at the end of the scene, oh no, he wouldn't fucking do that. And we had one thing to steal. And, oh no, they wouldn't have it about him. Oh no, not him, you know.
I was sent down to my father, who was known to have had dubious dealings with my younger brother and I before, and I was sent down to them, by them down to him, where I was molested again, and I had to be rescued by my mother from down there.
Yeah, there was this one time where the director of Boystown at the time when I was in there took me to a room where the brothers slept, and that was behind the admin block, and took me to a room in there and closed the door and told me to drop my pants, and I said no, and he said no, I need to check, and had a good old feel around my genital areas. I couldn't even look at him. I just turned away. I was embarrassed, and I was molested in that room.
Well, nothing happened. There was nothing found. He left Boystown because once accusations are made, then it's very, very difficult for you to have credibility. The person himself is then in an unsafe position. If someone has committed a serious offence and child abuse, then it's right that they be punished. I have no problem with that.
Is that if there is any matter that's a criminal nature, it has to be reported to the police.
That's certainly been said, and that's been investigated currently. Except the thing of the story that I heard was it was 50-cent pieces, but it doesn't matter much.
I remember the first time I was beaten by the big belt. I couldn't sit down for a week, but you got used to it after a while.
Yeah, it was common knowledge that the brothers had metal objects sewn into the straps that they punished us with, to give it a bit more hitting power.
Yeah, I remember the belt with the coins in it. I was beaten with it once. I'll never forget it because it was a lot different than any of the other belts, and it hurt a hell of a lot more.
Had a belting with a certain strap, and I still have it to this day from Boystown, which I had taken.
That's not true. No, I'm not aware of that either.
The jail cell at the end of Cottage 5. I remember that well. I was actually in that cottage. I seen a lot of boys actually go into that jail cell. It was a room that had all bars over the windows.
Yeah, it is a cell. It's got bars on it.
At the end of Cottage 5 there was a room there with bars and windows on. You're bad, you'd go in there, maybe get flogged, but you'd be locked up overnight.
In Cottage 5, there used to be a room where they used to detain us, like a prison cell that had bars on it and just basic bed, and that was it.
What about that? Well, you knew that the lockup was at the end of Cottage 5. Why was that there when Boystown was
never deemed under the state of Queensland under any legislation or act deemed as a institution.
For the boys' safety.
For the what, sorry?
For the boys' safety.
What, being locked up into a room?
Yeah, if they're going to run away, if they continue running away, if they've done an absolute lost their plot, threatened people, attacked people.
Well,
It's a time-out room. It's a time-out room.
What, with bars on the windows?
Yep.
That was illegal. That lock-up room at the end of Cottage 5 was illegal under the state of Queensland. Under any law, any legislation, it was illegal.
There were 4 social workers there, mate, who didn't see that as a situation. They're not secrets. We don't hide the fact that where people are.
The brothers gave him Raymond, and then most of the brothers changed back to their family names.
Boystown started to get far more damaged kids. In fact, without wording any disrespect at all, the system in the 60s and the 70s was you went to Boystown or you went to Westbrook or you went to Wilson Youth here in near Albia there somewhere, right? So, but the fact is, the kids changed. It got to such a stage that the kids who were in Boystown needed the kind of professional help that Boystown couldn't give them, so we closed it. But the fact is, it's still a duty of care on the part of the brothers. And from the point of view of whichever way you're trying to look at it, there's enough evidence around to say that some kids were damaged. Over all that time since I've been provincial, I've handled a whole lot of really sad cases of people who complained that they were badly treated at Boystown in different periods, and they've certainly run longer than the 90s. Yep. And have dealt with those individually, one-on-one. So I've got a pretty fair idea of a number of things. Usually it's a letter of apology. Usually it's the opportunity for people to get a whole lot of things off their chest. Usually it's a question of saying, well, part of this we could provide some counselling, part of this we can provide some financial recognition of the fact that you've been damaged.
Boystown was supposed to be a place of hope and a new beginning. A place that gave you an education and a future. A place that showed you compassion. This was a place that was supposed to stand on biblical principles. That's how they told us it would be, but instead, it was a place of hell. This was our story.